Chapter 14, the first day. Hello Alex, how are you today? Me, I'm feeling fine. In fact, I'm feeling super fine. I've never felt better. And yes, I am still in hospital, but guess what? I'm going home tomorrow. Just a sec while I have a bop. Not bad, huh? That's what Mum calls strutting my funky stuff. It's an oldie saying. I call it getting down with my bad self. And look, I danced around for ages and I'm not even out of breath. So this is what it's like to be healthy. I'd almost forgotten. It's so great to be fit. I feel as if I could run a marathon without even pausing to catch my breath. I've already packed my bags. It's been 6 weeks since my operation and I'm finally going home. It was beginning to feel as if Dr. Bryce was never going to let me go, but today is the first day of the rest of my life. The operation was a complete, utter and total success. Not only am I still standing, but I am running, jumping, dancing. You name it, I can do it. At last, everything seems to be coming together. Mum and Dad are getting on better now. Mum's getting a bit of a tummy bulge now, so I can see you growing. It's amazing. Mum says when she has a next scan, I can go with her so I can see what you look like inside her. Next time, both Dad and I are going with her. I can't wait. Do you know how I feel now? Peaceful. I don't have a thing in the world to worry about. I really feel like I could live forever. Dr. Bryce called his press conference. Mum and Dad wouldn't let me watch it on the telly. They said some of the reporters were bound to come with stupid questions and comments and they didn't want me to get upset. They watched it though. When I asked them how it went, all they said was, okay. I do wish they wouldn't treat me like a baby, or worse still, a cretin. Michelle, Pete and all the other nurses wouldn't tell me what had happened at the press conference either. I meant to attend a press conference this Saturday with Mum and Dad. Mum reckons once it's over, we'll have the media off our backs. I'm still taking my anti-rejection medicine. I have 1 injection a day. Dr. Bryce says I'll have to keep giving myself these injections for the foreseeable future. The injections sting a bit, but I don't mind. It was a bit daunting at first to have to stab myself with a needle, but now I'm used to it. Diabetics have to do this sort of thing every day, so it's not as if I'm alone. I probably wouldn't be making quite so many of these video recordings now. There's no point, is there? I'll be here when you arrive. I'll carry on till you're born though. I'll tell you the things as they occur to me and as I live through them. It'll be a video diary for you. Funnily enough, I eat much more healthily now than I did before the operation. I want to look after my new heart. I eat more salads and vegetables and fruit, and I don't eat red meat anymore. Just fish and poultry. No particular reason, just healthier, that's all. I have decided to live until I am 102. That's my lucky number, 102. I'm looking forward to getting home and seeing most of my friends again. I haven't spoken to Marlon since I read that article in the Daily Press. I know it was Marlon who told. No one else knew. More than once I picked up the phone to call him and ask him why. But then, why should I? He should make the first move, not me. I know he can't phone me or come and see me because he doesn't know where I am. But let's just see what happens when I get home. He let me down. I might forgive him, but I won't forget. Mum says Marlon's family got paid a load of money for the world exclusive they gave to that tabloid. Well, I hope Marlon enjoys that money. I trusted him. It'll be a long time before I do that again. Effect. Chapter 15, The Arrival. One more road, one more corner, and then we'd be home. I knew it was silly to feel like this. Anyone would think I'd never seen the place before. But it was home. Tonight, I'd be sleeping in my own bed, in my own bedroom. Cameron, stop bouncing up and down. I caught Dad's grin inside the mirror, by the inside mirror. You're going to ruin the car's suspension. Aren't you glad to be home? Aren't you excited? I couldn't believe how cool Mum and Dad were acting. For the last 6 weeks we'd all been living out of a suitcase at Dr. Bryce's clinic. I'd had more than enough of that. Dr. Elric had dropped us off at the nearest mainline station, where Dad had his car waiting for us. It had been a long journey with plenty of stops on the way, but now one more corner. What on earth? I stared out of the windscreen at the crowds in front of our house. It was like a crowd scene out of Ben-Hur. What's wrong with our house? I asked anxiously. I looked up past our house towards the sky. I couldn't see any smoke billowing out or flames pouring through windows. I could see a couple of police cars, but no fire engines. Dad slowed down so that the car only crawled forward. Are you okay, Kathy? He asked, his tone sombre. Mum nodded. I could see them both tense up. It was only then that I realised what was going on. Are all these people waiting for us? I asked, staggered. Mum turned to me and nodded. When we get out, head straight for the front door and do not say a word to anyone. Leave the talking to Dad and me. I want to know how all these people found out we'd be coming home today, Dad said grimly. Do you think someone at the clinic told the papers? Mum asked. Dad shrugged. He didn't have time to say anything else. A couple of heads turned our way, then more and more, and then what can only be described as a flood of people came rushing towards us. I shrunk back in my seat, terrified. We were surrounded. There were people banging on the car and cameras covering every millimetre of the car windows. Questions were being shouted and screamed at us. There were men and women with microphones and notepads and tape recorders as far as the eye could see. Don't stop the car, Mike, Mum ordered. I have to. I can't get any closer to the house than this, Dad replied. I couldn't believe it. I stared at the crowd all around us, their mouths opening and closing, opening and closing. I'd once seen some sharks being fed, and that's exactly what this was like. Only this time, Mum, Dad and I were the shark bait. Can we back up, Dad? But it was too late. The crowd had closed in behind us. Cameron, can we? Cameron, how do you? Cameron, what will you? The mob were banging on the car windows and firing questions at me from all directions. Mr. and Mrs. Kelsey? 2 policemen fought their way through the crowds to Dad's side of the car. I'd never been so relieved to see anyone in my entire life. Yes, said Dad gratefully. The policeman immediately turned to look at me. It took a few moments to decipher their expression. Curiosity and something else. Not disgust exactly. More like distaste, distrust. Mentally I shook my head. I was imagining things, seeing what wasn't there. More police turned up around the car, pushing back the crowds. The police formed a ring around us. One policeman, who seemed to be in charge, indicated that Dad should pull over. It took Dad ages to drive the car, the half a metre required to get to the pavement. What with the crowd pushing at the police and then shoving back, I had never seen anything like it. When Dad finally did manage to park, we all sat still, each of us stunned. None of us were too keen to get out of the car, to say the least. Maybe we should have taken Dr. Bryce's advice, Dad ventured. No. This is our house, said Mum. If we carry on as normal, then everyone else will have to follow our lead. Besides, after the press conference tomorrow, they'll leave us alone. The chief policeman tapped the driver's window. Dad wound down the window. Mr. Kelsey, Mrs. Kelsey, I'm Sergeant Dexter. If you and your family could get out of your car now, we will escort you to your house. The policeman was yelling over the noise of the crowd. Thank you. My wife is pregnant, so could you please look after her? Dad shouted back. Sergeant Dexter nodded. Who phoned you as a matter of interest? Dad asked, at the top of his voice. Dr. Bryce warned us that you were on your way home and asked us to help. We sent one car, but when we saw this lot, we had to call reinforcements. Dad looked around at the braying crowd and shook his head. He turned to Mum. Kathy, are you sure about this? Maybe we should stay in a hotel, or with your mum, for a while. No. Mum was adamant. This is our house. I want Cameron and the rest of us to get back to a normal environment as soon as possible. I wouldn't call this normal. Dad pointed at the crowd still trying to swallow us up. To be honest, I agreed with Dad. I'd no idea it'd be this bad. What did all these people want? Okay then, Dad sighed. Here goes. When Dad got out of the car, the decibel level rose perceptibly. I watched as he struggled past the police surrounding us to get to Mum's side of the car. He opened her door. I waited until Mum was out before opening my door and stepping out. The moment I set foot out of the car, the crowd erupted. From all sides, people surged forward. The police had to link arms in a ring around us to stop them getting to us. I shrank back until the car was hard against my back. Mum and Dad stepped in front of me, but I could still see their faces. I could hear them screaming at me. Cameron, how do you feel? Cameron, what's it like to have a pig's hut? Why did you do it? How long will you live for now? Cameron, Cameron! On and on it went. On and on and on, like a relentless tide. The police shifted to make a ring directly around us, excluding the car. And still the shouting, the screaming, the yelling and calling continued. There were TV cameras and camcorders all around. The police edged towards our house, with us in the middle. When I'd seen movie stars or pop stars surrounded by their bodyguards and their fans on telly before, I'd always thought it must be fun to be famous. But if this was what it was like, it was more terrifying than anything else. I looked around at the expressions on the faces of those immediately around us, beyond the police ring. They scrutinised me with rapt attention. Some of them were staring at me, as if I'd just sprouted another head or something. We moved up our garden path through the heaving crowds, with the police and Dad yelling something about trespassing. And for the first time since my operation, I could hear my blood roaring in my ears. The roar was so loud it began to drown out the noise around me. Everyone and everything started to get swimmy and blurry. I was going to faint. No, not in front of these people, I told myself frantically. What would Mum and Dad say? What would my friends say? Never live it down. I took a deep breath, then another, and another. We were close to the front door now. Dad struggled to get the front door key in the lock. Intense lights blinked on and off all around us like mini lightning bolts. I turned my head slightly and was immediately blinded by more camera flashes. The front door opened. Come on, Cameron. Breathe in, breathe out. The police ushered us into our house, with Sergeant Dexter and a policewoman leading the way. I barely got my feet on the doormat before the front door was shut behind me. The unbearable roar was turned into a bearable din outside the door, and my swimmy, sick feeling faded. In spite of the ringing phone, we all stood in the hall like statues. No one said a word. Well, sir, welcome home, said Sergeant Dexter dryly. Dad looked at him as if he were mad. Quite a homecoming, he agreed. Are you all right, Kathy? Mum nodded. She headed for the ringing phone and picked it up. Hello? I started to walk past her to go into the kitchen to get some water, but the changing expression on her face made me pause. No, we wouldn't be interested, Mum said curtly. No, I'm afraid not. Goodbye. She put the phone down. It immediately started ringing again. With a look of irritation, she picked it up. No, he won't, she said after a pause. No, bye. The moment the phone was down, it started ringing again. By now, Mum's frown could have curdled milk. Hello. There came a long pause as her frown grew deeper and deeper. Nope, we're not interested. Look, am I talking to a Martian? I said, we're not interested? No. Well, thank you very much. Goodbye. She slammed the phone down. Without a second's pause, it began to ring again. You're going to get that all day and night, I'm afraid, said the policewoman. Oh, no, we're not, said Mum. She bent to pull the phone lead out of its socket. We heard the sound of scuffles and the doorbell rang. Through the frosted glass of the front door, we saw the police usher some people away. I looked at Mum and Dad. I couldn't be the only one thinking. We were in a madhouse, in the middle of a nightmare. Kathy, let's wait till after the press conference, okay? Said Mum. Dad smiled. Mum hadn't admitted that maybe she was wrong, but it was close enough. Was it like this when you came back to get fresh clothes and that, after the story was in the papers? I asked Mum and Dad. I didn't miss the look between them. A bit, Dad admitted. Why didn't you tell me? Because we both felt it would blow over, Mum jumped in before Dad could answer. I don't know about blow over, blow up more like, I said sourly. Don't let it worry you. And that goes for you as well, Kathy, Dad said firmly. I'll take care of this business. I turned away just as Sergeant Dexter's walkie-talkie started beeping. I really hoped Mum was right and all this chaos would disappear once the press conference was over. Right, okay, just a sec, said Sergeant Dexter. He turned to me. We've got a boy outside who says he's your best friend. He says his name is Marlon Percy. Marlon. Should we let him in? The sergeant asked patiently. All eyes were on me. The sergeant waited for my answer. Mum told me not to speak to him, I replied at last. No, Cameron, I shouldn't have done that. He's your friend and it's your decision, not mine, Mum said. And with those words, I lost my ready-made excuse. I wanted to see Marlon. To be honest, I was desperate to talk to him. But all I kept seeing was the front page of the Daily Press. I couldn't seem to get past the fact that I had trusted Marlon and he had let me down. Slowly, I shook my head. I'm tired, I lied. I'll see him on Monday at school. Sergeant Dexter spoke on his walkie-talkie and Mum and Dad watched me silently. I am tired, I insisted. Of course, Mum smiled. You take it easy. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. I ran upstairs to my room. I made it to the top of the stairs without having to pause for breath, and downstairs I knew that Mum and Dad were watching me.